Hello, welcome everybody to our engineering focused webinar. We're really excited to have an amazing panel with us today. We're going to go through some questions that we've already been thinking about, already been talking about, but please do leave any questions that you have in the comments box and we will also get to those. So we're gonna just get going straight away. So Sherry, do you want to start off introducing yourself?
Of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Yang. I'm based in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm the engineering manager for Venue.sh as well as a part of the Adaptavist group. So Venue.sh product is a DevOps platform that helps companies orchestrate their cloud infrastructure. And the Adaptavist group provides solutions to help companies to find best way to work with their ITSM, their internal project management, their internal ways of working. So we're a solutions company.
Awesome. Amazing. Anna?
Hi everyone, I'm Anna and I'm a team leader from BAE Systems. I have worked on a few different projects, but my skills mostly lie in systems engineering and user interface design.
Awesome. And Maya?
Hi, I'm Maya Ravenscroft. I'm head of software, simulation software at MBDA UK. I work in Stevenage in the UK. We're a defence company. We design and build advanced missile and air defence systems to help protect the UK and its allies. Our technology is engineering and innovation, and I've been in with the company for about 5 years now and work in the software department.
Awesome. So as you can all see, we've got a lot of very, very experienced people with us today who will be able to answer all of your questions around engineering careers. And of course, you know Flexa, you've signed up to one of our webinars, but you might not know me. I'm Beth, I run the growth and product team at Flexa, so also not quite as technical as the engineers we have with us today, but I'm pretending to be an engineer, we could say. So I'd really like us to start with a super broad question. Engineering's been a really in-demand career for a long time, not just from organizations who obviously are desperate for good quality engineers, but it's also a very well-respected, often well-paid, like highly regarded field to get into. So I'd love to start by understanding what's going on in the engineering landscape at the moment. Like, are there any really big changes that are coming about, or anything that we should be aware of that might be different this year than it was before? Anna, do you want to start us off with this one?
Sure thing, yeah. The biggest thing for me, I think, is a more skills-based approach. So while obviously engineering degrees are still super valuable, there are other options now in terms of like getting into engineering. So whether that's like a degree apprenticeship or even I've seen trends with people in their sort of second or third careers moving into engineering from slightly different sectors. So at least for us, it's more about your behaviours, any transferable skills you've got, and yeah, kind of openness to change and improvement and working together with teams. It's quite a big focus on that at the moment.
Interesting. That's really interesting. Maya, have you noticed any kind of changes or shifts in the sort of engineering landscape in the last year or so?
I agree with Anna, exactly what she's just described. One of the areas that we focused on this year and last year was to get into the Code First Girls scheme. So these are for women in engineering that are looking for a change, possibly, and to get into coding, to get into software. And so we've partnered with Code First Girls, and we have apprentice Code First Girls that actually join software and other parts of engineering, and it's worked really well, that partnership, and we continue to do that. So agree with what Anna said as well.
Amazing. That Code First Girls is such a great organization. I think a lot of work has been done over the last few years, 5 years maybe, if we're being generous, to try and get more diversity into the engineering world. So it's not just a kind of bunch of 20-year-old white men, which, you know, as you can see from this panel, is changing, right? Sherry, is there anything big that you've noticed happening in the engineering landscape that we should all be aware of if we're considering a career here?
I'm surprised that no one hasn't mentioned the magic word of AI. And I often am the one who has to open with it. And I know we're so tired of hearing more AI, but AI is here to stay. So lots of AI ML integrations, like the skill set, just like Anna mentioned, is very technical in terms of like becoming expertise. I feel like that engineering degree, software engineering, computer science is very valuable in the industry right now because you understand the metal, you understand the hardware and the software together. So that part is critical. And with the usage of AI, generative AI specifically, is that additional tool to help you be a better engineer, be a better programmer, coder, whatever it is that you align yourself with. And I think that the landscape within the industry is important. A lot of organization is also trying to see where they can best benefit from AI, whether it is internal support or building new features to support their product as a marketing strategy. I think that is also part of like, you're going to go into a regular conference and then see all these expos of products lining up. And at the same time, people will be asking, what is your AI feature? Can I talk to an assistant to help me either solve problems or do things, help with automation? I think these are critical questions and also like critical build path right now. As we move in, like it be further advanced into the AI era.
Yeah, it's definitely not something we're going to be able to avoid at all, is it? And you know, nor should we want to. I think it could be really helpful, and I appreciate this is maybe going backwards a step, but when we're talking about engineering, like, would you like to define that a bit? Because it can mean so many things. You know, we've got very traditional, like Sherry, when you were mentioning, you know, you understand the hardware as well as you understand the software. Like, you know, there's a lot that could come under engineering. I'd be fascinated to understand, like, in each of your organizations, how is that defined as a group of roles?
I will take that first because I live in an oil and gas focused province in Canada. So when I talk about engineering, everyone is thinking about the pipeline. Everyone is thinking about civil engineering, chemical engineering, like more very heavy duty engineering. And meanwhile, I'm here, I do software. I do more of like the invisible engineering. And that is the variation of engineering that we talk about. And then there's also like hardware with mechanical engineering as well. And then I'm pretty sure Anna and Maya would touch a little bit more on like the security side of things. But in terms of engineering as a variation, software engineering, we're talking about computer engineering. We're talking about creating solution infrastructures and architecture for software, and focusing on what power and resources that you need to leverage from the computer hardware. So that's the engineering side of things.
Anna, Maya, you guys are in completely different industries to Sherry. Like, how does that kind of fit in your organizations?
Yeah, I think for me, I think about it as you're building a product. So whether that's like a tangible thing that you could like hold or see, or like app-based software. At the end of the day, like it's a product that you're building. At BAE, engineering is kind of quite wide, obviously. So I work in the air sector, so we're working on aircraft, but there's also maritime and land and digital as well. So yeah, it's quite broad. I also think it's about problem solving. So I think if you do problem solving, you could probably define yourself as an engineer.
I love that. Maya, anything you want to
Yeah, I
add?
agree with all the panelists. For me, engineering is about solving complex problems, complicated problems. It's about collaboration with your stakeholders, building a product that's built to last. It's about, although I'm in the field of software engineering, we are developing solutions for not just for today, but for the future as well. It's engineering at the heart of what the company does, but also innovative solutions that can be solved via software and hardware going together. So if you want a career in engineering, as the panelists have also said, it's very broad, it's very interesting, it gets you thinking about solutions, workarounds, meeting interesting colleagues, stakeholders, external suppliers. There's a broad range and depth to the problems that you're solving. So if that's the kind of career you want to go into, then that's the career for you. So engineering is very broad.
I love this because I think that, you know, we've got a whole range of different people in different situations signed up to listen to this session. You know, some who are just leaving university and kind of figuring out what they want to do, whether this is the career they want. Some people who have maybe not gone to university and are taking a different route straight into employment. Some people who are in their 40s and 50s and switching careers into engineering. So there's such a broad range of people who are interested in defining this. And what I really love about what you're all saying is that it's not maybe as intimidating as it looks from the outside. And that's what I'm reading in this is, you know, it's not just being deeply technical and sitting quietly and getting your engineering done, but there's also, you know, understanding new technologies and getting excited about the future. There's, you know, being able to problem solve. That's my favorite bit about product, is when we hear from our customers, oh, this is something that we think they want, and go away with a pen and paper and try and design what that might be. Like, that's the stuff that really excites me. And, you know, Maya, what you were saying about engaging with stakeholders and meeting interesting people, and it's a much broader sector or role type to go into than, you know, sitting in your the chair and coding away all the time. And I think that's really important for people to remember.
I think it's not just the role of engineering. There are lots of roles in engineering. So you'll have individual contributor roles where you may be exactly what you said, code based, doing that to support a team. You may be a team lead, you may be a project lead, you may be a group lead, you may be technical, or you may be functional, or you may be both.
Yeah.
And what I would encourage people to do is make it your own. So there are there's diversity of careers within engineering as well. So it's really up to that person to choose what their where their career path goes.
Definitely.
And a good point there is also about curiosity. I find that a lot of problem solvers are very curious, and that's why we are problem solvers, because we want to know why and how and try to solve the problem. So the curiosity is really important, and learning new technology, especially like this sector is such a fast moving points where there's new innovation happening pretty much every year. So as engineers, it should be part of our personality or our responsibility to keep learning, to keep curious, because that is the part that gives you a long-lived career, because you want to know more and you want to learn more and you want to build on your skills and you want to keep it going. So aside from problem solving, curiosity is also very important.
I love that. So let's say that I am a curious problem solver. I've got a bit of a technical understanding, and I'm really excited to start out on a career in engineering, but maybe I can't, or I don't want to go to university. It's a question that we got a lot when we were asking people who signed up, what are they interested in hearing about from the panel? Of course, I could go and spend 3-4 years doing a computer science degree, but I might not be in the position to do that, right? I might be supporting my family, or I might just not want to. What are the alternatives? Are there other ways into engineering? As we've just said, it's such a broad field. It feels like there must be, but how might someone go about that? Maya, do you want to start?
Sorry, I was on mute. So at the company I work for at MBDA, we have lots of different avenues for getting into engineering. We have degree apprentices, so you're learning while you're earning. I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast or seminar that we also support initiatives like Code First Girls. So these are for people that have had career breaks or looking to do something different to what they've done before. So we've had in our organisation people that come from the teaching profession and then moved to software engineering. So there are different ways to get to switching a career. We value transferable skills, and I think Anna mentioned that earlier. Skill sets can transfer from one industry to another. Within our own organisation, we have a programs division, and that transcends lots of different areas that people can move into. And so, yeah, I think there are lots of possibilities. And I think with the attributes and skills people have that are transferable, I think it's just a case of having a go, put yourself out there, apply.
Again, coming back full circle to that, transition into a skills-based world. It is worth revisiting, and I'm going to get the numbers wrong on this, but there is a stat that says that women will only apply to a job if they meet 100% of the things listed in the job description, whereas men will hit 65-70% of the required experience and give it a go anyway. And I think whoever you are, if you're looking at a job description, remember that yes, there are absolutely some qualifications. Don't go and apply for a head of role if you've never done it before, but people are expecting you to learn in a junior role and in an entry-level role. And the apprenticeship scheme that you have sounds like a great way to do that. It's I don't think we can have a conversation about the job market and about careers without also talking about the realities of life, right? We all have to pay our bills, and some people might have kids they have to feed and put clothes on and buy toys for, and not everybody can take years out of their life to stop earning to change careers, but that shouldn't count them out of it. I know, Anna, Sherry, have you guys seen any other interesting ways to get in, or do your companies have apprenticeship programs or something similar?
Yeah, we have apprenticeship programs as well. So the degree apprenticeship, but also technician apprenticeship. So that's like a apprenticeship that doesn't involve doing a degree at the same time. Another thing that I thought might be interesting for this forum is something that we've called STEM returners. So that's a a scheme for people who are maybe in their second or third careers and want to transition, or have maybe worked in STEM, taken a career break and want to come back. So that provides some support for them to get back in. We also recruit a lot of veterans as well. So yeah, there's a few different routes.
Amazing.
Yeah, the Adaptavist group have had apprenticeship program, but these are dedicated for specific use cases. So we actually don't have recurring programs, but we like to build those use cases to make sure that we have these like opportunities for people who wants to get into the industry. Because we're a solution-based company, your knowledge has to be pretty vast. So for someone to adapt to these sort of like problem solving, it's a little bit of it requires a little bit of experience. So being able to like build use cases that is entry level friendly is something that we want to adapt to. And also we partner with Work 180 in the UK. So building more awareness in terms of like knowing that there is a disparity between gender within the engineering space, especially software. We want to empower more women to seek opportunity with companies that partners with Work 180, that have more of that like knowledge, like what kind of company really encourages these sort of DEI into their company DNA.
Yeah, and it's so important. We all know that the more diverse a team you have, the more creative your solutions are and the more resilient your teams are. So I think, I read a stat recently that only 13% of people that work in product are women, which is still such a small number and might be higher than in engineering. I don't know the stat for that, but I imagine it might be. So it is the answer to, do I have to have a computer science degree to consider a career in engineering? No.
Yeah, that's a solid no. I didn't have a computer science degree. I don't have one, and I don't think I'm about to get one anytime soon. That self-taught, that curiosity, that problem-solving skill set needs to be ingrained in your head to keep the career going. And in terms of every level of growth, just like everyone in the panel mentioned, including Beth, is this like is continuous learning, and at the same time also apply yourself to the problem. And I would also mention you especially for career changers, you have such a skill that some of the engineers and only know how to engineer don't have. So bring that cross industry skill set into tech. Ask yourself, if you're in an industry that doesn't really work with technology, how can I apply technology into the process here? And then all of a sudden you become a bit innovator. And apply, try to seek opportunities around these problem solving products that can help you make the transition. I also want to make a point of going back to in terms of traditional paths of software engineering, computer science. It's also like when you and not having time to get another degree. I think that is very critical at this time of era where you have AI, you have generative AI to help you study, to help you answer questions. Utilize these tools to better fill up your curiosity with the right language. I have a lot of people that comes up to me and asks me, what language should I start? What's the best language for me to start to become a programmer? I think this question is for someone who used to write in 10 different languages, more than 10 different languages. I'm like shocked. I'm like, there's a variety of things that you can pick from. So it depends on what angle that we're talking about, depends on what industry. So I would always counter ask, what problem are you trying to solve? because I'm not just going to give you a language. There is no language that is for everything.
Yeah, it's a really interesting point. I think like technology has become just so deeply ingrained in everything that we do now that I almost don't even think about tech as an industry anymore. It's like, well, kind of everything is tech now, right? Pretty much every company you go into has some sort of technical product or technical aspect to the business that, you know, what you're going to do building software for, you know, sales processes is entirely different to building software for, you know, new kind of clean energy, right? Like they're going to, or data centers, they're going to be completely different things. And also some really great tips about using AI. I mean, you can just type into ChatGPT, I want to become an engineer, please help me find a syllabus of what I should read and what I should focus on. And that self-taught knowledge, I think, is so appealing when you're then hiring candidates. We had a question in the chat about eligibility based on age and university graduates that I'd love to come on to here. And I think that one of the things that's really interesting about people who are coming into this from different stages in their career is that drive to be curious and to be problem solving, I think only gets stronger, right? So you might find that actually more in someone over the age of 30 or who's coming to their career, not necessarily as a graduate. But when, you know, these programs that you all have, are they age restricted? Like how do they work? What would be your advice for somebody over the age of 30? Not that that's old at all.
For us, we don't have an upper age limit. Obviously, there's a lower age limit.
Not be 12.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no upper age limit for the apprenticeship schemes.
Amazing. Olga, I hope that encourages you to go out and apply for some of these things. I totally understand that it can be daunting, changing careers or going into something new when you feel like you've already got all of this experience, but kind of as we've been discussing, take that with you. That's a brilliant thing to take with you.
I do want to add one thing about Olga's concern. I'm sorry that you're feeling that way and you're facing these challenges. There's a reason why companies are looking for a young graduate, because they have the learning ability. So if you are interviewing and competing with 20-some years old fresh grads, I would encourage you, Olga, to showcase more of your ability to learn. I think that's why companies are looking for new, fresh grads, because they want this like brain of learning and absorbing is really important. That is what they're looking for. So in terms of switching that gears around, don't I know it's disappointing, like maybe you feel that way. At the same time, I feel there's a reason for that. They want fresh minds to absorb as many information as possible for the specific role that they're looking for. And oftentimes when you're experienced and you're in a matured age, you don't usually showcase those ability to like absorb fast and then, you know, provide ROI for them. So I would encourage you to showcase, like show that side of you, because if you just came from a training program or a boot camp, you have that ability. So you need to let them know that I'm here to like help, and here are the qualities I have.
Amazing. I think that's such good advice. Demonstrate that you're there and ready to learn, and that you've already been doing that yourself. So we're going to move on in a second and talk a little bit around like career progression. But Jason just asked a really interesting question that's relevant to this conversation we've been having around transferring in from other areas, and sort of transferable skills. What if I'm in that position and I'm working in marketing and I want to move over, or I'm working in sales and I want to come over? What are the skills that are really lacking in a standard engineering department? What are the skills that are really lacking? And therefore, what should I be highlighting in my experience that I can bring over? Everyone was smiling, so I feel like everyone has an answer here. Anna, do you want to go first?
I'm not sure it's like lacking as such, but I think being able to bring a team together, whether you're like the team leader or not, like being able to work well with people and get the most out of people is always going to be really valuable. I think being open-minded and being brave and being able to ask questions and challenge things is also a very valuable skill to have, and not necessarily technical engineering skills, but trying to see the bigger picture and see how things link in with each other, and ask why people have done things the way that they have. That's what I would say for that.
I love that. I find that it's one of the things that I was always really grateful that I began my career in very, very small companies, which meant that you kind of had to get involved with everything. And so that ability to think, well, okay, well, if we make this technical decision, how does that impact sales, or how does that impact the customer experience, and really being able to see that full picture. I think, like, what a brilliant thing to be able to bring in from another department if you are deeply embedded in customer understanding, for example, and can bring that in to the technical team. Sherry, anything that you think not necessarily lacking, but that would be great to bring in from other departments?
Communication skills. It's more building on what Anna mentioned, is like connecting with people. And I think one of the audience is also asking, like, I have these skill set to communicate with non-technical people, but I don't know how to bring my technical skill up. That's where you need to focus on getting better at, is to become an expert for the technology that you're working with or you're trying to present. So bring your communication skill into the conversation. It's an age-old forever problem for engineering, is that we create the solutions oftentimes people don't want. So we are always engaging for user feedback, always trying to make sure that we are building what matters. So what software company cares the most is, how do you feel? Will you use this? And does this make sense to you? So that is communicating, whether it is through user experience or through marketing campaign or through just the program itself. I think that is part that we need to build on our communication skill, because engineering can solve problems, but doesn't mean that we can communicate how to use or how to engage with people who needs them. So so that's really like bringing communication from another a previous career or previous like professional life is really important.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. I think Sonia has kind of alluded to this in her question as well, around, she's saying she's a great communicator with non-technical stakeholders. So what you're talking about there, Sherry, with like the customers or with the sales team or the marketing team, but communicating with technical stakeholders or your technical team is a bit harder. And it's asking if anyone's got any advice there. Something that worked for me was, again, using AI in stand-up. It's very common for engineering teams to do a stand-up every morning, or at least a few times a week, to kind of discuss the projects and how they're moving. And there'd be all of these terms that I had no idea what they meant. Whether it was like, my newest favorite one is math.random, is what I've learned about recently. I don't know what that is. And it comes up in a call, and I stick that into ChatGPT and ask, what is this? How would it be used? And, thinking, every day after that 10-minute call, going back and, looking up something like, what is an API? Or why would we use Python here? What does JavaScript mean? Like any of these terms that will be, coming up all the time, from things that are really basic through to stuff that's deeply technical that I'm not going to give examples of because I won't know what they mean. But there's a breadth of exploration you can do to demonstrate your willingness to understand the technical side of things. And I'd also say don't be afraid to not be the expert there, especially if you're coming in as the non-technical person in the team. You're not going to be the person who knows the most about the language or the way that a database should be structured, but you can absolutely ask the right questions and defer to people for the answers. I don't know whether anyone has been in the same situation that I was in and has tackled that. Anna, you're nodding.
I'm going through it just now. I've just moved into a new role where I'm definitely not the expert. For me, it's just been kind of holding my hands up and going, I'm going to need your help here. Like I've got skills that I can bring to the team, but for this specific area, I'm going to need some time to learn and I'm going to need your support. And I think being candid, people kind of respond to, because you're not kind of trying to pull the wool over their eyes and pretend that but also you're kind of admitting that like you are willing to learn and you're going to try. So yeah, I'm going through that as we speak.
Totally. And being honest is good communication, right? Like I think that's what it comes down to. It's way worse to sit and pretend that you're understanding something and then for that to fall apart 3 weeks later when actually, people have been making decisions based on misunderstood information. Maya, I'm going to come to you. We're circling right back around to that topic I brought up about career progression. I'd love to understand, do you think there is a standard career progression in an engineering role and what that looks like, or is it a bit more of a free-for-all? And if so, how do you start navigating that?
For me, from a personal experience, I would say I've never planned my career. I've fallen into things. So I started off many years ago as more in chemical engineering, and have worked in the chemical industry, have worked in process, then got into modelling and sort of became a team leader, progressed to a project leader, a group leader, and now find myself as head of department. No, I don't think I planned anything as such, but I've kept wanting to know more, to grow as a person. I truly believe I don't know everything. I'm usually one of the people that don't know that much, but I have a really good support network in behind me that are able to take that forward. And things like being able to communicate what you need is important. I value behaviours within a colleague, so things like the integrity of somebody, teamwork, collaboration, all these things are things that you take forward in your role. And that's really important as you step into a different part of your career. So whether you are wanting to be a very technical person and forge a career in that environment, that's also possible. You then may become technical functional and then completely functional. But depending on your career path, whether you want to go into leadership or become a subject matter expert, it really is, your career is your own. You own that career, and having that mindset that that's important to me, that you own your career and you decide what you want to really do. But planning anything like that, I haven't really ever done as such. but yeah, I've really enjoyed so far my career journey. And everybody's is unique. I think it's tailored to that person and that situation that they're in. And so for me, you have to enjoy what you do and have that sense of integrity, collaboration, teamwork. If you put all that together, keep things simple, then I think that's the way I've always done things. I don't know how the panelists think, but over to them.
Yeah, taking the next best step or the next most logical step is what I take away from that. You don't have to have your 50-year career planned on a big serial killer style board on your wall, but you absolutely can take the next best step for you. And like Anna, Sherry, I'd be interested to understand around the difference between what's often called an independent contributor role and sort of a management leadership role in your experience and in your organizations. And are they completely separate career paths, or do you always, to get senior enough and to progress to where you want to be, do you always have to take on management responsibilities? How does that tend to work in engineering?
I think for us, both are possible. So you could go down the management route, or you could become a specialist and progress your career that way. I wouldn't say that you have to follow one or the other. I can really recommend a book called The Squiggly Career. So yeah, I can definitely flip-flop between them. I think obviously I'm not a head of department, but I think for me, just taking it bit by bit, like taking on a little bit more responsibility and accountability, and seeing how you get on and seeing if you enjoy it, and then building on that. Like I never really saw myself as like a people manager or anyone with any sort of like technical signatory when I started off. But by taking on different roles and just taking it a step at a time, I now feel more comfortable with that. So yeah, I guess it's great to look into the future, and if you've got a goal that you're working towards, then that's great. But that's kind of never been me. So I've just been kind of looking to the next thing, and is that a challenge? Is that going to excite me? And taking it from there.
I love that. Is that going to excite me? Question is a brilliant way to go through life. I love that. Sherry, how about you? How do you feel about the independent contributor management split? And have you seen people who've had brilliantly successful careers without going into management in engineering?
Yeah, I know a whole list of principal engineers and staff engineers, and they are amazing. They're experts in their field, and there's a reason for that. Even at Adaptavist, we have respectable staff engineers and principal engineers, and like they are still leaders. I think people often feel like the pressure that, oh, I need to move into a manager role because that is career progression. But that's not true. You can still be an expert and still be a leader within the product, within the solution, within the technology, to be to be in an advanced role. Obviously, you're like that ceiling is at like CTO. That's what we have right now in terms of hierarchy. But in terms of progression towards that higher level and knowledge is okay to be an individual contributor and become an expert, and it's okay. And I respect Anna in terms of knowing the squiggly career path, because I too went through that path, because I want to become like the point where I like decided to become an individual contributor again is because I want to know more about the technology, because it's new for me. It's considered as a pivot, but not really. It's more of a refresher. Let me get better at these technical technology that is being used in this company first, and then I can showcase my leadership skill, and then I can move into that people management level where I believe that I excel at.
Mm.
So it really depends on how you want to handle your career. Just like Maya said, it's your career. You can decide, and don't feel like you're stuck. You can always go back down and come back up, because it is like, at this day and age, we don't have 20 years in a company anymore. That's like very hard to find. If you have a 5+ year in a company, that is like blissful.
Mm.
So I think in terms of just knowing that, and also speak volumes for the company as well, because that means the retention rate, and in terms of supporting you as a person, is there. So knowing that, like, usually in these tech roles, a lot of people are jumping from company to company because there is no supporting mechanism within the organization to help you grow. So when you grow, when you're seeking for growth opportunity and there isn't any, then you have to move to a new company.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. And just a reminder for anybody who is watching, if you have any questions, we are coming up towards the end of our session. So if you have any questions, now is the time to get them in so that we can get round to yours before we wrap up. One of the questions that we've had on in the lead up to this is around how to showcase your skills on a CV. So when you are hiring into your team, or you are looking at grad applications or apprenticeship applications at kind of whatever level this is, how is there something different that we should be doing as engineers? Should we be showing portfolios like designers? Should we be showing code examples? And how might you go about doing that if you are brand new to this? What have you seen that works, and what really impresses you? Anna, do you want to start first?
Sure. For me, it's kind of short and succinct, like no more than 2 pages, I would say, for a CV, just because the recruiters probably won't look at more than that. I think also tailoring it for the job that you're applying for. So making sure that relevant experience is brought out for that job, and any like past experience that would be helpful. And put the most important information at the top. Personally, when I worked in user interface design, we did have portfolios, and that was super helpful. But I wouldn't say that it's necessarily required, but it might make you stand out, just like an interesting cover letter might as well.
Yeah, amazing. Maya, you must have hired a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, we're hiring currently. Company scaling, we're growing. I agree with Anna. We're looking for a short, succinct CV that highlights people's best attributes and skills. It's really key. And, you know, wish everybody the best in their application. They are filtered prior to hiring managers seeing the CVs. This is, lots of people do apply. So keeping that information as key as possible is probably key, important to the person. And then, you get to interview stage. But I suppose what you're asking is, prior to interview stage, what can somebody do to make their CV stand out? I would just say just 2 pages with relevant information. Read the job adverts. And a cover letter these days, not everyone sends one. I still think it's a nice touch as to why you have applied. But that goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree. It is a nice, shows that you've really done your research and thought about the company. Awesome. Sherry, anything that really impresses you?
Yeah, it's nice to keep it short and sweet for your CV. There's a research that shows that recruiters don't look at your CV for more than 7 seconds. And I would say less than 7 seconds oftentimes. It's that like quick engagement. So numbers, provide impact level. Like what did you do in this project in terms of like your actual contribution. I think in terms of like just the skill sets that you have is great to list them all, but then you need to word these skill set into what it applies to and how it impacts the company. What kind of value did you bring? Oftentimes as developers and programmers, you might think that, oh, I just code this feature, but you have to understand the outcome of this feature. So it's really important to understand like, oh, I was a contributor in this feature, and this feature brought in this many users, and which leads to this sort of revenue. Like these are data that is going to be very useful in your CV. For those who are new college grads, talk about your project. Talk about the capstone project or school projects that you, or side projects that you've been building, and what kind of influence that you can create with your project. Maybe you don't have a real statistics yet, but you can share that what kind of impact and what kind of purpose that you're bringing into the space. So these impact level is very important.
Yeah, I love that. And again, shows that level of curiosity and willingness to learn, and you don't even have to know how to code anymore to give a go at spinning up a project with all of this vibe coding going on. You can anybody can give it a go and show that they can think through a project. What might somebody really want? What's the problem we're trying to solve? Here's my attempt at how to solve it, and here's the outcomes of that, and what we think is going to change from it. That would be super impressive to see on anyone's CV or portfolio. We've got one final question from Harry, which is, what is the biggest myth about engineering that you think is keeping people out? And how do you tackle those preconceptions at your company? It's a tough one.
It is a tough one. I think we sort of answered this question earlier. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be the one who knows everything. So it's okay. Like engineering don't have the answer for everything. We can find out. So it's okay to say, let me take a look at this, and then we'll get back to you. It's and also bringing the experts into the conversation as well. So depending on what the problem is, I think a lot of people is like, just let the engineering team deal with it, but that's not often the solution. The solution is actually having everybody who understand the context into like bring them into the conversation and problem solve together.
Awesome.
I think the thing that I've been thinking about is the job adverts, and how much you meet of those job ads. So I've noticed recently that a lot of them have kind of been reworded to be like, even better if, or if you don't have all of these skills, please still apply, and that sort of thing, to encourage people that obviously we are looking for this list of things, but if you don't have one or two of them, like, don't not apply. So yeah, and also changing the kind of language that's used in job adverts as well. At least in my previous team, we made quite an effort to use more gender neutral language in terms of instead of quite out there. Yeah, we just changed the language to make it a bit more inclusive for everyone, and to try and bring in people from different backgrounds. So yeah.
Amazing.
I'd say biggest myth at our company was you have to be a rocket scientist to join. No, we accept people from all backgrounds. Diversity of thought is really important, encouraged even. Just apply. You never know. You won't know until you apply. And ask for feedback if you can do that, as to, if you didn't get that chance this time, what could you have done to change that outcome? I think that's always important as well. Helps you learn and grow.
Exactly. All about that. Being curious, asking for feedback, figuring out what you could do better next time is all seems to be the root of all of this. Well, thank you so much for joining us, to the panelists and to everyone watching. And of course, remember that if you want any more info about MBDA, Adaptavist, or BAE, you can find their profiles on Flexa, some of whom are hiring, or maybe even all of you, I'm not sure. So definitely, as we've learned, give it a go. Go put yourself out there. Don't be intimidated, and good luck. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time.